All right. Welcome to our webinar on blogs. All of us have been working really hard this semester on creating blogs and collaborating with other classmates. So we thought it'd be a good idea to do a webinar on just exactly how it all works and the different topics we use and such. So my name is Claire. I am a fifth year at Ball State.
Yes, my name is Chance Taylor. I'm a senior this year at Ball State.
I'm Cabralin. I'm a junior at Ball State.
I'm Elli. I'm a senior at Ball State.
I'm Lexi. I am a senior at Ball State.
I'm Sam, and I'm a senior at Ball State.
I'm Abby. I'm a senior at Ball State.
And I'm Joey, and I'm a junior at Ball State.
All right, so now that we have that out of the way, let's just start out by talking about what each topic we have for our blogs are. I know Ellie and I are in a group together, and our topic is based around food, but what are the rest of your guys' topics?
Me and Cabralin, our topic is movies and TV, so it's based around entertainment. And we kind of try to switch it up. We focus on like Netflix shows and Hulu shows and just TV shows, and then we also go into like best movies for kids or just like best horror movies and stuff like that.
My group, our theme is sports. So I am doing basketball and basically like what pro sports look like during COVID, like who's the GOAT, Michael Jordan or LeBron, that sort of thing. Abby's also in my group. What sport are you doing, Abby?
Mine's football. So I'm just talking about sort of the updates since football is in season and just how they're dealing with COVID and allowing fans in some stadiums.
Nice.
And I'm with Claire and Ellie in the food group, and mine is specifically looking at different businesses that have certain deals, whether it's per day or on like certain drinks or food products, things like that.
I knew that. I'm so sorry. I literally knew that.
You're all good.
And in my group, we're talking about tourism in Indiana, so different things to do, different places to visit, and everything in between.
All right. Those all sound like really great topics. Some a lot more challenging than others. How did everyone go about choosing a topic?
We chose ours just because everybody watches some sort of TV show or movies, so we felt like it would be easy for everybody to write about.
Yeah, we like took the same kind of approach and kind of focused on things that we were all interested in, and also made sure that they were things that we could write like a lot about or like touch on different points about, like it had some depth to the topic, which is important for like maintaining a blog.
Yeah, for Lexi and I's group, our top pick was supposed to be food, but that was already taken. So our top three was food, sports, and sort of like clothing trends. And to come down as a group, we all voted on sports because with COVID and everything going on, there's more rules and regulations of which sports can compete and can't compete during this time. So we all agreed that there's a lot to talk about each week.
Yeah, it's kind of like a topic that we figured that couldn't really get old. We could come up with a bunch of ideas on it. So it kind of seemed foolproof at the time. So it hasn't been bad.
Definitely know what you're talking about there. So what kind of different platforms did you guys use? I know that we used Wix for ours. Did anyone use any different platforms, and how do those work?
Sorry, we used WordPress, which we went over in class. Obviously, our group really wasn't familiar with it, so we're all sort of experimenting and just trying to figure out different ways to make our blog a little more exciting and out there. Definitely for me, I'm trying to get more experience of just like sort of going on Google to see what else you can add, because right now it's pretty basic, but I mean, there's endless options that you can add. You just need to do a little research to figure out what you can and can't do.
Yeah, like to expand on that, I'm in a group with Abby. In one of our other in-class assignments, I used a Wix site, and I've only had experience with Wix in the past. So it was super simple, super easy to navigate, and I was like most comfortable with that one. When we chose the WordPress website, it was very out of my element and something that I would say is more like in the marketing field. You need to be accustomed to a lot of jobs like want that type of experience. So we really did push the envelope in that way. And so there's a huge learning curve. It's not as user friendly. I would say if you're just like starting new to a blog, like there's a ton to learn. As far as add-ins, like our Google Analytics project took me 5 ever only to find out that one of my group members already did it. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I got off lucky on that one, but it's something that I'm gonna need to learn. And then there's also, I would say it's the same thing with Wix. There's premium versions as well. So like if you're a business website, you get more add-ons. You get a lot of bonus features that like a free site wouldn't typically get. So between the two, having experience with both, I would say Wix is like the easy, fun version that like you can kind of figure out in a day. WordPress is one of those ones that you kind of need to stick with and kind of build all of your experience upon. So both are good. I like Wix better just because I don't want to, you know, try too hard. But yeah, WordPress is definitely something that I'm getting more familiar with as time goes on with the blog.
Yeah, to go along with you, I also had a lot of experience with Wix in high school. I actually got started my junior year of high school with like using Wix. So I mean, I know how to like go in and out of it. And so when he said that we were going to use WordPress, I was like, can we use something else other than that? Because like I know how to write, I know how to like use Wix, like kind of. I know how to like read the analytics of it, and I know how to do everything for it. And so like for me, it was just kind of an easy balance or easy step to take just to make the website and then just write a blog. Because I mean, I've run several of my own blogs that are my own personal blogs that you can look at. But it's just when we were going through it in WordPress, I was looking at that website, and I must say I was very confused at the looks of WordPress. Like, this is way too difficult. It just needs to dumb it down a little bit, for me at least. And so I mean, I thought Wix was an easier site to use, but that's just me.
Yeah, going off of that, I mean, our group is using Wix, and I've never used a blog. Like, I've never made a blog before, and Wix is really easy and like simple to use. So I'd agree that like Wix might be the better option for people that maybe don't have marketing or like experience with making blogs.
Yeah, it is very user friendly. So what other social media platforms did you guys use to add to your blog and be able to post content out so that others can see it and go and click on it and read it to increase your analytics and your SEO and things like that?
So our group, which was the Indiana tourism group, we chose Facebook and Instagram because we wanted to reach kind of that middle-aged demographic, and most of those people use Facebook. And then also the younger college-age students too, looking for different fun things to do after class, or new bars or wineries to try. We thought that was better to use Instagram to reach them. And also in creating our content calendar, we wanted to make sure that we were using in-feed posts as well as posts in our stories, because in those stories you can swipe up to link to your blog. So we thought that was really helpful to try to drive traffic from our social media pages to the blog.
Yeah, so Claire, Ellie, and I, we chose to do Instagram and Pinterest. And we just felt that with our target market, we're kind of looking to more towards college-age students, young adults, as well as middle-aged adults as well. But typically in that kind of younger demographic. Just felt like with that was kind of, they use Instagram more often, as well as Pinterest, kind of a, not one that we initially would have thought of, but typically is very highly used among younger ages. And we can see we've found a lot of like recipes on Pinterest. So we figured that that would be a pretty good resource to reach people.
My group hasn't picked yet, but I feel like we would do either like an Instagram or Facebook, just because everything we're talking about is either towards like parents or towards like kids our age. So I feel like one of those two.
Lexi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe our group decided to do Instagram and Twitter, mostly because for Twitter, again, like you can do a little sort of update and I don't know where I'm going, update and a link for them to click on the blog for like more information. And then for Instagram, again, like the stories, you can have a direct link to your blog posts. And just with all of the different sports we're using, you can target sort of anyone that's interested in sports or interested in learning more about certain sports and what's going on.
Yeah, and like kind of to add to that, like we kind of figured that Twitter was like the catch-all for like sports. If you want any like live updates, that's pretty much where you go to figure out like what's going on. And then as far as Instagram, we got really lucky with sports. There's professional photographers literally everywhere. And so we figured that we could capitalize on that and get some really good content getting pushed while also linking it to our blog. So yeah.
Yeah, the Instagram stories are definitely a big help when you literally just swipe up and it takes you directly to that link. Half the time, I swear, I like swipe up on Instagram stories on accident and I'm on some random page and I have no idea what's going on. So what would you guys say the biggest challenge is about not only just creating your blog, but having to navigate it and think of topics and things like that?
One of the biggest challenges for me, I didn't look at all of the posts in advance, so I didn't realize that like going forward, they're all gonna be around 1,000 words. So that was like a challenge for me because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just like whatever I have to talk the most about, whatever has the most stats, that'll be like my long post, not realizing going forward, they're all gonna be the long post. So I think a little bit of my topics, like I realized there wasn't as much depth in them. Like one of my topics was like notable players like in the NBA throughout history. So like Jerry West or Wilt Chamberlain. And then I was like going through all of their stats and they were really like, I was just reciting stats. Like I wasn't really talking about like their time in the league. I was just talking about like what awards they've won, who they are, like what position they played. And even if you have like 12 people that are notable throughout the league, like that's not going to make 1,000 words if they're like around 30 words per topic. So I had to be really selective in who I was choosing and what I could actually write about it and what the writers could get out of it. So I had to be a little bit more picky than I thought that I would. And then also knowing that I would have enough information and like opinions of my own to be able to expand on the topic rather than just stating facts that don't really mean anything to anyone.
I agree with that. It was hard because ours was over like movies or TV shows. And so I started out like putting down like my favorite TV show and it was Friends, but I could only say so much without completely spoiling like episodes or like just talking about the background. So I was like, oh, like what else do I add to this? How else do I like keep going? So I think that was the hardest part, was trying to find other things to talk about and like make your blog post longer.
Yeah, I also found that kind of difficult too, because like, there were some shows that I was writing about that focused on like one of them was like unsolved mysteries, and so it was like a murder mystery, and I was trying so hard not to spoil any of it, but it's hard because I mean like you want to write about it because it's just easy writing, but then you can't. Then you're just basically going to ruin the show for the consumer. But I mean, my biggest challenge so far has just been honestly just getting started, like writing the blog post. Like I have the idea, I have the topic, I know what I'm going to write about. It's just I dread starting to write like the 1,000 word plus posts because it's not that I can't get it done. It's just in my head, I view it as like so much more than it actually is. And I'm just dreading that.
I'm definitely in the same boat as all you guys. My specific topic in food is, as I stated before, like finding specific deals at different restaurants and stuff. And the first one I talked specifically about Moe's, and you can only write so much about one restaurant. So it's like I found a website, luckily, that has like all the restaurants in Muncie, like what days they have deals on. So like they have a tab for Tuesday, what restaurants have certain deals and stuff like that. So it's more so, I can write about, Tuesdays in Muncie. You can go to Brothers, they've got Mud Club, they've got $3 burgers. Here over at Savages, they have something for you. So just, that's been really helpful, but it's also just been really hard having to transition from, I was thinking I would have to go for one specific restaurant to, now I have to talk about a specific day.
I would say for me, I didn't really find any trouble trying to hit the 1,000 words because I think football is in season. So there's a lot going on of like different injury reports, like wins and losses, like and all of that. But one thing I'm sort of struggling with is sort of how to make it a little more interactive with the reader. Since I'm really still not familiar with WordPress and I know my way around Wix of like adding pictures or different links. I'm still trying to figure out all of the like new tabs you can add in. And again, like sort of dreading the post because I don't really know what I'm doing. I sort of just write it in a Word doc and then I paste it into my WordPress and then I hit submit. But I'm trying to get better at sort of like putting in different, I don't know, like fonts or sizes or bolding some words to make it a little more like vibrant to your eye when trying to read it.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you guys said, I've had challenged me anyway, like meeting the length requirements. I think the other thing that's just been like a struggle is making it interesting because, I mean, our topic's food and I'm talking about recipes and like, it's one thing to just write like, this is the recipe and like, this is what you can do. But it's another thing to like try to make it creative. And I haven't looked at too many blogs, but I know one, you kind of build like a persona around your blog. And like, there's one blog that I read or have read for class where the guy talks like he's Hulk and to like to make it interesting. And so he writes things in like all caps and like kind of talks in third person and it's like goofy, but it keeps you interested. And I found that's like really difficult and trying to relate that back to just like my other interests or pop culture or whatever has been a bit of a challenge to relate it back to my topic, which is food.
I think one challenge that I've faced is trying to keep the format of the blog posts different, especially for things to do in Indiana. It's so easy just to do a list of like, go here, go there. So it's been kind of hard to try to figure out how to keep that fresh and unique and do something different each time. So that's definitely been a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest challenges is I just realized this before we started this Zoom. On Wix, it tells you the character count is a certain amount, not the word count. So I've been doing like 1,700 characters and I'm like, oh, I'm well over my word count. And then I submit it and I just realized that like 10 minutes ago. So I guess that's one of my challenges is I clearly don't know how to read. I'd say another one too definitely is because we all are food, we don't have specific topics within food. So I'll want to say something or like do a highlight on like Savages and I'll have to go through the whole blog and make sure no one else has done like a highlight on a certain place that I want to talk about or different things I want to do just because we don't have specific topics, but we have 4 different categories within our blog. So I guess I've mostly been doing like crock pot recipes because I love my crock pot. I don't really have to cook. I just kind of throw it all in there and call it a day. So I would definitely say that that is one of the biggest challenges is I clearly mess up all of my past blog posts because I read characters instead of words. So would you guys say, like, after we're done with this whole course and everything, because you know how to make a blog, do you enjoy it enough to start your own blog and do your own thing? I know, Chance, you said you've had multiple blogs yourself outside of class, but I'm just curious if this has sparked anyone's interest in wanting to make like a personal blog outside. I know I used to live in Chicago for an internship a couple summers ago, and I started a blog about all the different places at restaurants I would go try in Chicago. That was super fun because it was like I'm kind of being a tourist, but at the same time, I live here now, so that was awesome. But I'm just wondering if anyone else has an idea for a personal blog they'd want to do, or if that is even something of interest.
I don't know if this has like sparked my interest to start my own blog. Specifically, like I don't really have anything that I am thinking now that I would want to write about. But I know when I studied abroad in 2019 summer, before COVID and everything happened. And my mom was telling me about how like somebody that she works with, their kids or whoever it was, made a blog about their time abroad, and like it was like an activity where they could like kind of I don't know, monitor isn't the right word, but like record their experience and like share it with the people that aren't there with them. And so like it was a way to update family and everything like that. And I think even just starting like a temporary blog might be interesting for stuff like that. And then I don't know, who knows, maybe it'll carry on to like maybe you'll really love traveling and like write a travel blog or a food blog or, you know, whatever. I think starting it for like something temporary could evolve into something that's like longer lasting if you really enjoy doing it.
So I created a blog way back when. It was for my personal portfolio, and it was so that I could get like a job and be competitive within the job field. So like I only have one post though, so it's like kind of a stretch to call it a blog, right? Like it was just one article. But since I like kind of already know where I'm going to be working after college, it makes it kind of hard for me to like want to continue with that since it was like a marketing blog. But going forward, I could see me implementing it within a company that I'm working for. So like I'm working for a startup right now, and they're looking for ideas for how to get organic traction. I feel like a blog could be a really good way to talk about like the industry and what's expected, and especially like we're a recruiting firm. So like I could even help with like people that are interviewing like our candidates and tips during COVID. Like I think that that could be a good asset. So like for myself personally, I don't know, but for a company that I'm working for, I feel a lot more comfortable than I did prior to starting this project about that idea.
Personally, I think I'd sort of be fine with starting a blog, but I think I'd take the route of starting on Instagram to try to start building an audience and sort of growing sort of followers from there, and then see if it really trends and just getting all of the action likes or comments to see further if it's would be purposeful for a blog, because I feel like you can add so much information on Instagram, and a blog is a little deeper experience or deeper communication wise of just like the recipe for a food or like your experience with working with different ingredients, so on and so forth. But I feel like if I didn't have an audience, it sort of wouldn't be purposeful. So I think I'd start on Instagram, grow from there, and then sort of see if my followers would want a blog or just have me going in more detail on the Instagram.
I think a lot of it would have to depend on the topic if I'd want to do it. Most likely, probably not. Just very time consuming. I don't have a ton of time anyway. But if it's a topic that I feel like relates to something that I do in an everyday life, then potentially. And if I feel like I can help someone else, then there's potential that, you know, I would be interested in doing it. But for the most part, it's just a lot of time that I don't really have, so probably not.
Yeah, so I currently work for an insurance company. I'm the social media marketer for them. And we're trying to increase our SEO and our web traffic and everything like that. So I've been writing a bunch of blogs lately. And while it's not like personal, it's like for work, it's so hard to do because I know that no one is reading these right now. And so I'm like, okay, don't even know what anyone wants to hear about. And it's for insurance. So I have to write like kind of insurance like things or like about our niche markets that we have that we insure. And so it's like so stressful because I don't know topics to write about because I know barely anything about insurance. And on top of that, I know no one is reading these. I'm like, do I really have to write these? So I feel like I would have more fun if I were to write about something that I personally enjoyed. Not that I don't enjoy working because then I make money, but like if it were to be like my food blog or a blog about my dog or like something like that versus things I don't really know anything about and I have to do so much research for it. So I definitely think I would be open to starting a personal blog. I want to move to Texas after graduation, so that'd be fun, like my adventures in Texas. But other than that, I don't think I would want to do one. I just feel so busy right now, but I also am in school and work, so I feel like I'd have more free time. But what would you? I got one more question for you guys. What is like one recommendation you would give to someone who's starting out a blog? I know my recommendation would be for them to look at all the platforms first that to put a blog on, and before you decide which one to go for. I found that sometimes if you decide to go for one and then you start this whole blog on it, and then you realize this is not as easy as you thought it was, and you want to switch, but you have to transfer all of your stuff over. So what would your guys' recommendations be for someone starting a blog out?
I would say if you're starting a blog out, write about something that you know, like you can continue to write about or know like a lot about. Because while I know, like while I watch TV and everything, I don't know a ton of like the background information, or it's not like really driving me to continue to write these. So I would just say write about something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, kind of to bounce off of that, I would say something that you are passionate about, but something that you also want to learn about. Like, so for my topic, basketball has always been like in my life in some capacity. And then writing the blog post, I realized how truly little I know about it. And so I've been like doing research and then relating it back to what I'm writing. And so I find when I'm writing articles that I'm getting more interested in the topic because I'm learning more, and it's something that I like knowing. So knowing that you might not have all of the answers, but something that you want to know about is super beneficial when starting a blog because it's kind of foolproof at that point.
Oh, sorry, Chance, you can go.
I would say that you probably should plan out what you're going to write instead of just going into like a cold open, because it is honestly the worst part about writing a blog is like if you have the topic in mind, that's great, but just starting the blog out, writing it out, and just if you have no direction on where you're trying to go for, it's going to end up being the weirdest blog you will ever write in your life. Versus if you have the topic and you plan out what you're going to write, give them like 5 different points, so that's like 5 paragraphs right there, and that could end up just being your blog, which great, you got a blog then. But if you choose not plan that out, you can either just be rambling on forever, or you won't have enough information to even make the blog viable.
Yeah, and you guys said everything that I was gonna say. Just making sure that you like it, and then planning out like your post, not just like the individual like blog post itself, but planning out maybe a couple posts in advance so you have an idea of what you want to write about. And if you need to do like research or like anything extra that you need to do for that blog post, that's definitely helpful and will make your life a lot easier.
I definitely think it's important to have someone else look over your blog post just to make sure everything's grammatically correct, but also so that It's reaching your target audience and using language that they would understand and have content that's of interest to them. I think that's really important to keep in the back of your head while you're writing too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all those. Blogging can not be necessarily easy, but it can be fun once you figure everything out. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before we end this lovely TED Talk? No? All right, perfect. Thank you guys so much for all of your input. I hope someone out there watching this, if it's anyone besides our lovely professor, I hope you learned something about blogs. If not, sorry, we're not the best. We're not experts. But yeah, that's about all I have. So thank you guys all for joining me.